Uh,
I just want to test my audio. Did somebody say something?
Test, test.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
And good morning, Diane.
Good morning, everyone. Maureen's thought she might be having audio problems, so she's going to just log off and log back in. So bear with us just a moment.
Okay, can you hear me now? All right, good. Um, Sorry, my computer for some reason is messing with a voice activation on my computer. I couldn't hear, you guys couldn't hear me. So I'm gonna have John, you're gonna have to help me out because on the phone it's harder to see who has their hands up. Um, Great. So I'm just gonna call the meeting to order. Thank you everyone for being here. I hope everyone had a good holiday weekend. I just want to acknowledge that we have a guest today, Mary Ann Langton, and she is going to speak on a kind of unique issue that with her a new chair that we thought maybe we could kind of discuss and talk about how we might handle situations like this in the future, because I'm sure it comes up. Also, we're going to review the minutes. I just wanted thank you for everyone for reviewing them before the meeting. And I just want to remind everyone that per our discussion last meeting that the meeting minutes are not a transcript. I did see that Brianne and Rebecca put the data into the to the March minutes, and I do appreciate that. I don't think it's necessary. I do appreciate that extra effort. Everything that is submitted to the council is being put will be put onto the website or the webpage for the council. And so any information that is posted, I don't think it needs to be repeated anywhere. And so just be mindful. Of course, we'll take uh, any amendments, but I just want everyone to be mindful about that, and also to be mindful about the time frame. Now that we'll be out of session next month, and so we can be on a more regular schedule. And so asking everyone to get their information into Brianne a week ahead of time, which you did this week. That was great. And also any additions to the agenda or any other information that you wish to share with the whole council to try to get that done before a week in advance. Think, I think that's it. And I'm going to hand it over to my co-chair.
Thanks, Maureen. And just one last comment, just a reminder, we have got a hard stop at 12:30. We want to be mindful of
Yes.
everyone's time, particularly during these last few weeks of session. Everyone is bouncing from meeting to meeting and item to item. So just a reminder that we've got a hard stop at 12:30. Thanks, Maureen.
Yeah, and that's a very hard stop. And I do want to reach out or just shout out to Brianne, you know, taking on the council work plus all the work that she's doing with the legislation. It's been really, I'm sure it's just been a grind, and you've been very helpful to us. And I'm actually going to hand it over to Brianne because she is going to update us on the bills that we have running for the House and Senate.
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate that. And things will be better after next week. So there are two bills relating to this task force that were working their way through the legislature. The first one, the House Bill 7106, an act concerning recommendations of an advisory council on wheelchair repair. That was passed by the House as amended by House A. So that now just needs to go to the Senate, and then it can be signed by the governor and become law. The other one, SB 1251, is a Senate bill, an act implementing the governor's recommendations concerning a variety of things. It's a long title. That has not been called to the Senate floor yet. I'm not sure what the status will be on that, but it needs to be called in the next week if it's going anywhere. But most of the recommendations from this task force are in the bill that already passed the House.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, and so we'll move on to new motion and your report, Gary.
Maureen, I'm sorry. Do you want to do an approval of the minutes first?
Oh my goodness, I'm just trying to avoid that so much. I'm trying to get I'm still with this computer. I'm trying to get the agenda up. Yeah, if you could handle that, and I'll get situated over here.
Sure,
That'd
of
be
course.
great.
Yep.
Right.
So we'll just go over an approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. I know that there were some changes that were requested in the last day or two that Brianne did a fantastic job of making sure that those were done and resubmitted to everyone. So
that was Rebecca. She's a superstar.
Thank you. Well, and thank Rebecca
great.
for that as well.
She's great.
Appreciate that. Deeply appreciate it. So if there, unless there's any other further comments or discussion, if somebody wants to make a motion to approve those minutes.
John, this is Rebecca. You might just want to clarify that we have two sets of minutes that need to be approved, both February and March.
Thank you, Rebecca. Yeah, okay.
And the
So-
changes that were made the other day were to the February minutes.
Okay,
But then you have a version of the March minutes that have been sent to you as well.
thank you very much. Appreciate that clarification. So if we want to do them one by one, if we want to first have a motion to approve the February minutes. Ginny, are you making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ginny. Is there a second? Becky seconds. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay, so the February minutes are passed. And now on to the March minutes. If someone would like to make a motion to approve those. Are we leaving those out there? Okay, Becky makes the motion to approve. Okay, is there a second?
This is Farah. I'll second.
Thank you, Farah. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, any opposed? Nope, Farah, you have your hand up. I'm sorry. Oh, you took it down. Okay. All right, Maureen, go ahead and we can proceed with the new
Yeah.
motion report.
Yeah, Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll be brief because I think our report is actually a pretty decent one. We've made significant improvement over the last 2 months, and since the last time that we've all met. I'm just going to go right down to the bottom of the report, which is the critical numbers. You know, for in-home service, we are 80% compliant as of today. Or as of the end of April, I should say. As of today, we're even better. I don't have our actual May to date numbers, but our I to C numbers have come down. It's intake to completion. So that leads me to believe that we've come even closer to full compliance. Remotely, we're 100% compliant. So on calls that came in through our remote that we were able to repair, they were done well within 10 days. And then 12% of our repairs were done in the month of April in the branch, which is actually down from about 20% prior month. So we're actually doing more in the home than we were prior months. And we are 98% compliant on repairs done in the shop. Now, what that means is our efforts of stocking parts, adding additional staff, and other things are showing significant improvement. I expect May numbers to be even better once we get to the end of this month and I have those final numbers. But as far as our staffing, we have, let me get to the right page here, please. We currently have 19 total bodies that have ability to do service. We have 7 service techs and 7 service techs in the Rocky Hill location, and we have 1 coming in from New York. We are down 1 body, but that was a warehouse tech, which doesn't really impact our service capacity significantly in a material way. So, but anyhow, we continue to work towards compliance. That our numbers in the aggregate bring us to 85% compliant. So, which is well above where we were. And again, we are not holding any orders for ordering parts. Once we do the evaluation, we are moving everything right to ordering parts. So we are not holding the orders at all. Also, we are stocking the 70 most used parts in our location so that if we have the opportunity to repair the chair right there and then we can. That doesn't mean that everything is going to get fixed in 1 day or 2 days. It means for those chairs that have those 70 most used parts, we're able to fix them. I mean, there's some things, unfortunately, with all the different configurations, if a frame is broken or if certain electronics or motors are broken, those things we do have to order. We're not going to stock all those. But, you know, I feel like we've made significant improvement. We have another tech that just hit the road yesterday brand new trained tech. So I feel like we're going in the right direction. So I'll stop there.
Okay, thank you. Oh, David,
Of course.
of course.
So I was just curious. You said 7 techs. Is that you said 7 full-time techs, and you have one coming in from another state?
Yeah, we do. He's on sort of a surge. He's not every day, but as we have orders that we can utilize that person, we bring him from New York.
Also, I guess for my own knowledge, when a part is ordered and the tech makes a mistake on the part, and then the part has to be ordered again, the correct part. How is that classified in the data? Is that classified as a new order and it's a new repair, or is it classified as a mistake? And how is that kind of like
It should,
calculated in your data?
it should not, it's not captured as a new order. It is, if it is an error, it is a continuation of that order.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to stop right now and then kind of look at the stuff you just presented really quick, but let anyone else have anything to say.
Okay, Sheldon.
All right, thanks. I looked at the minutes and watched the videos from the last time. Gary, appreciate the report, but on staffing, we go round and round. These numbers, 17, 18, don't matter. What matters is FTE. How many full-time people and how many FTE? Last time, after much discussion, you acknowledged that there was 6 full-time people, full-time tech people, and a total 7.1 FTE. Those are the only numbers that matter. So I think I heard the first part now. I think I heard you say 7. You're borrowing somebody from New York, but you have 7 full-time techs.
That equals 8. Okay. So that's service tax. We have other people that are available or are doing. I'd say we were over 9.0 or 9.1 in actual service tech capacity or service capacity. Now, I also want to clarify one thing because some people keep comparing us to NSM. NSM is a much larger business than we are in Connecticut. So you can't compare apples to oranges. We are not equal size businesses in Connecticut. And they are staffing appropriate to their volume. We're staffing appropriate to our volume.
Last time I looked at it, the volume of NSM was actually less than yours, unless it's changed. Let's look at the figures, but that's what I saw repeatedly was that NSM was about the same as you, but a little less in volume. So when we have Diane who do her presentation, we can ask questions there as well. But all I'm saying is that when you keep having these total numbers, you have only a tiny bit of these people are doing anything in the way of repair. And that's why you said 8 full-time people, but it's only 9.1 FTE, meaning a total of all those other people is just a tiny fraction. So I would appreciate in the future, and we need to talk about how this is going to be done uniformly anyway between the two companies, is if you could talk about full-time people and FTE as opposed to listing people for whom they spend 1% of their time on repairs once in a while.
I've given you all the information I'm going to give you on staffing. I think we've done everything that's been asked of us as far as increasing staffing and trying to work our way towards compliance. Dictating how many staff members we have and those kinds of things, that's a business decision on our part, and that's what we will do.
Nobody's asking that be dictated whatsoever. We're just asking for reporting. What I'm making a request of you right now for the minutes and for everybody is that in the future, if you want to report those other numbers of people, the tiny fractions, it's fine. But you have to report the full-time people and specifically the FTE number. You just gave it to us, 9.1, but it wasn't in your written report. All I'm asking is that you affirmatively provide that every month. Thank you. So then on the numbers, I'm curious about whether there's rounding. because, I mean, the 85% compliance overall isn't what people are really concerned about is the in-home, because you've always been pretty good with the in-shop as far as timeliness. It's always about the in-home. That's 80% by your report. And the question I have about rounding is that several months ago, your report said 37% compliance for in-home. And at that, when you presented that, you said you think it's more like, you didn't have any numbers at the time, but you said you think it's more like 60. And then after that, you produced a report that said exactly 60. And this report says exactly 80. And I'm just asking, therefore, whether there's some rounding going on. It's pretty odd that you would have exactly 60 and exactly 80.
I think the actual report before was 57%, and I rounded to 60, yes. But this case, this is where the numbers landed. This is out of our actual data that we manually went back. We tried to automate this, and we found there was some dirt in the numbers, but we've manually gone back and gone order by order, and this is the actual number we came up to. So I'm standing by the accuracy of our number.
80%. Okay. I mean, obviously, you still have a long way to go, but it's
No,
better than 57. So
right, we're at 85% in the aggregate. If you meld all the numbers together, in shop, remote, and in home, we're at 85% aggregate.
right. I appreciate that, but again, what the advocates, consumers really care about is the in-home. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I just have one question. I don't know that we can flesh this all out today, but your remote repairs, I'm just looking at the numbers, and for both companies, it's a remote, not remote repairs, a remote assessment. And I just remember from the task force, which I wasn't on, but I watched the meetings, that the success rate was pretty low, was maybe 30%, 18%. I don't remember the exact number, but I'm just wondering how successful your remote assessments are, and does that contribute to the maximum 24 days for a remote assessment? I'm just wondering if you could just talk a little bit about those numbers, and if you can't, and we could come back to it at another time, that's fine.
I'm just going back to the number here. Look, there's some variation in remote because sometimes they can fix the chair remotely, sometimes they can't. So when it starts as remote, then it goes to another. It gets transferred to a live tech, and then they do the eval. I think that's being figured into the 24 days. But there are situations where the remote actually fixes it while they're on the phone. If it's a reprogram,
Yeah.
or just rebooting the chair or doing whatever. I mean, this report, I'm gonna say that this report has some fluctuation in it based on when the order was started, when the order was actually completed. Because if you look at the 12% sort of in branch service, historically we're in the 20%. Those are the orders that were completed in the month of April. Okay. They could have been some of them were started in March, right? So there's some, depending on when the order is started and finished, there's some fluctuation in these numbers. So I don't think, we're getting a clean, well, it's going to be tough to get a clean look just by, kind of the bleed over from month to month.
So the 24, I'm assuming, so the 24 people, likely it wasn't that they waited 24 days for a remote assessment. It's probably that the remote assessment was not successful and they had to either go into the shop and
Correct. No, the remote assessments are done right away. They should get somebody live that day.
Right. Exactly. Okay, that's why I was a little, I just wanted to clear that up. And I know there are some limitations to this form, and maybe we can improve upon it. But okay, well that's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sheldon.
I'm sorry to bother you. I should have asked this before. I was looking at your report, Gary, and Diane's, and your report says, the summary says this is for April. And Diane's report actually is straddles between middle of April, middle of May. I just wanted to check, are we talking, is your report for April literally the first of the month to the 30th?
Yep.
Okay,
I don't have any May data in here yet.
thanks.
David.
Yeah, I'm also curious. I mean, I don't know if you're tracking this or not. How often are you seeing issues where wrong parts are ordered and your staff is having to go out to people multiple times with unsuccessful repair?
I don't have that report in front of me, but I can get that data. We do track that.
I mean, I don't want to go into the weeds about my own personal repair. I actually have a repair that's overdue now, and I've had several times now where they came out, they didn't have the proper stuff they needed, then they had ordered the wrong part, and then I'm waiting for weeks to even hear back to like when what the part's getting ordered, and it just feels like if it's happening to me, it's probably happening to other people. And I'm just curious how often it happens, and what's the turnaround time when a wrong part is ordered, and is that being prioritized? Because speaking for myself, you know, they say, oh, we're gonna order the part, we're gonna get it done that day, and then a week later goes by, and I still don't have a response. There's no good information, and it seems like this constant battle to get information to find out when parts are getting in. And we're talking a common part, by the way. This is not like a special part. It's a swing away armrest receiver. And this is something that should be able to get right off the shelf. And I don't understand why it takes so long for something like that. And again, if it's happening to me, it's probably happening to other people. So I just wanted to ask you about that and what you think about all that.
David, we live in a human world and we do make mistakes, and I am
Yeah,
I'm happy to talk with you offline about everything going on with yours, but for HIPAA reasons, I'm not going to do that in
of
front of
course.
this forum. But I'm happy. I know you have worked with other members of my staff, and I'm willing to talk with you and try and figure out where things went wrong. We do everything we can, and I don't know why you've had the delays you have. I need to look into it. So I apologize.
Well, yeah, and again, it's I'm just using my personal situation as an example, of the bigger issue of what other people may be going through, and that's kind of why I bring it up. I'm just curious of how often it happens, and what's the turnaround time to correct when something does go wrong. Because in my circumstance, I think every time I've had my chair repaired since the new law is going to affect, it's been overdue every time. So I mean, like this is like the third or fourth repair that I've had go beyond the time it's supposed to. So again, if it's happening to me, it's happening to other people. And so anyway, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not happening with other people. I'm just saying we'll do our best to make it right. I think for some members of this council that have reached out to me and dealt with me on individual cases, they know that I will get all over it and fix it and make sure it gets worked out. So, not that I'm in the position to handle every single repair order for Connecticut, but we do make our efforts to do things right. I apologize if you've had any issues.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Joe.
Oh yeah, I like the remote assessment. Obviously, it's quick, it's fast. You can get it done right away. I was just curious to know like what's the actual success rate of it though, because the um the technicians that I've had, they've all kind of complained about the accuracy of it. Like say you call in for a caster, right? For an assessment on that. They do the assessment on it and you wait and the technician comes out and he goes to put it on and he finds, five other things that need to be ordered on your chair that you obviously can't do from a remote assessment. And then the ongoing order that probably could have been taken care of right away. Is this a problem for a lot of, I mean, obviously the remote assessment is quick for the broken part, but it keeps an ongoing order.
Yeah, look, it's not a perfect system. It's it's only as good as the technician we have on the phone, which we're doing a lot better, getting more experienced technicians on there. Also, the ability of the consumer to to tell us everything going on with the chair, and because it is remote, we're not in the home, we can't see everything. We can only see the things, and if the current issue is your caster, that's the thing we know to fix. But if you say, oh, I'll say I need arm pads or I need, a cushion or something like that, we can address that at the moment. But, it does have limitations. I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but for, at least getting the ability to fix the immediate problem, I think it's pretty good. And there are some, like I said, it's about, I don't have the actual accuracy in front of me. I can get that data. We do track that, but I know that it provides an opportunity for us to eliminate one stop in a lot of cases, and at least get those parts ordered more quickly rather than you having to wait for another technician to come out and assess the whole chair. So and like I said, we're not perfect. We do our best. We put the best technology forward to try and help you get repaired more quickly.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. You can get the actual part that's broken. I'm just wondering the overall efficiency of it, having to do multiple orders and have techs come out multiple times. I was just,
Yes. Joe, if the tech, when we have our techs actually come out, they're supposed to go over the chair and do a 19 or 20 point check. And, we can't, that's tough to do in a remote situation. But, we're going to stand by the remote as an opportunity to at least do the evaluation of the immediate problem.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do appreciate sometimes the remote, not always, but it has been helpful. I saw, Diane, you typed something in the chat. Do you want to weigh in? Or I could just read the chat.
Yeah, I've brought this up before in our work groups in the last year when we had this subject come up. It's not uncommon, even when someone knows their chair very, very well, and we're doing their repair, that comes out, because we pulled a study last year and a half ago about this very subject, and it's not uncommon. When I pulled the Connecticut and I pulled Massachusetts numbers, just seeing how many times our technician goes out, we were told when I need a caster and a battery replaced, we go out there and do that multi-point inspection. And we say, oh, I see this cable's loose, I see this. And so how often does that happen? And when you go back in the last meeting minutes from last year, the year before, when we did this before the bill thing went live, it was about 24 to 27% of the time we catch something, which is not unusual. I mean, that's why I'm trying to see us get preventive maintenance done, so we don't run into these things. But again, that's part of but just to give you guys that answer, about 24 to 27% of the time, that's what we're seeing. So I say out of 4 times. It's a pretty general statement. But hopefully you're getting mobile, right? That's not going to be something that's going to deteriorate, and that's the whole intent. As long as you're mobile and moving, that other thing can get done, we'll put it on there, etc. But to the point that was brought up, that was asked earlier, if we come out for that original repair that you told us that needs to be done and we don't have the right part, that's a ding against us. That goes, we didn't meet compliance. So those numbers go against us.
And the other thing, it's not just with remote. There are situations with, even between the time we come out and do a live evaluation and get back to the office, write our parts, somebody gets a flat tire or something, something else happens to the chair in the meantime. That's not uncommon. So, we're chasing it. I mean, if we could get reimbursement for routine maintenance, that eliminates a lot of this, but I don't know that we're going to get that.
Sheldon.
Yeah, I want to respond to the last thing Gary said, but I realized that a mistake probably in the design of the reporting form, and I take responsibility for this because that's one of the people, me and Jonathan Sigworth, is it doesn't actually ask, it asks for percentages and minimum, maximum, average. It doesn't ask for total volume of, repairs for the month. And I was wondering, Gary, do you have that for your report for April?
I can get to it. Sheldon, if you want me to come back to, I can have it in just a minute. I just don't want to hold everybody up while I look it up.
That'd be great. Thanks. And the second thing, just for clarification of the thing you just said about preventive maintenance, which the advocates completely agree with you on, that we would, we very much want to have preventive maintenance. I think I appreciate at the beginning, Brianne was asked to summarize the two bills pending. I think everybody should know that 7106 had a lot of the recommendations of this council in our formal recommendations. Not all of them, but a lot of them were included, including coverage for preventive maintenance, including coverage for transportation to get to the shop when that's necessary, coverage this under Medicaid, and also coverage under Medicaid for payment for overnight parts and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the amendment that Brianne referred to completely took out almost all of that stuff. And instead, it's not a council recommendation to end the council, but that is what is in 7106 right now. I doubt that bill is going to survive. I just want people to know that was the thing that was passed by the House was not what was, that included all the recommendations that so many of it had worked on and which the wheelchair council had specifically recommended.
Sheldon, to your question, we delivered 352 orders in the month of April.
Okay, thanks. And just so everybody can compare, NSM shows 329 for a month. It staggers, but it's for 1 month, it was 329. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheldon. Daryl.
Sure.
Can I clarify something, please?
Sure, Gary.
Before we, just to be the 3 prior months, January 241, February 240, March 228. April reflects our catching up on a bunch of orders. So just to be clear. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could jump in. Yeah, I guess we were talking about repairs before that Joey and David brought up. I had a repair done and much more efficient with NSM. This was a few months back, so it was good to see the good response. We did do a remote request through that evaluation, and that seemed to speed up some things. So I think that was a plus for my situation. The parts were, brought in. We were able to coordinate a time with the schedule. So seemed like that was being, moved up a little bit. Those parts that were repaired, there was a lot extra parts that were ordered to make it an easier job for the technician. I could have repaired things with just a couple simple bolts and a little bracket and some things that way and would have had it done, and a couple tires and casters. But I appreciate all the parts being ordered. At that time of the order, we're talking about preventative maintenance, and we're talking about demand that we have for these clients. I requested my parts because they were pretty much purchased my parts. I pay for my own, insurance. Insurance pays for those parts. However, at the end, those parts disappeared. I signed the waiver, the ticket, closed out that. I followed up with three or more emails to just try to get those parts back in my hand, my parts, and ghosted. Nothing. The tech originally, when he was at my house, he's like, "Oh yeah, you could have those." Never had him back. So my big frustration is not the fact that the parts left and they're not in my hands, but it's the communication. And this communication, we need that open loop. And I think that's what started all this, frustration. And that's where really taking into consideration what the council came up with all these particular parameters, it really needs to continue to be a big focus on how we can improve this communication, because when these things happen, it affects trust, and it it's not only David's story, it's not only Joey's, it's mine, and what other clients that aren't speaking up is it happening to? So I don't know. Hopefully someday I'll get those parts back so I could do my own preventative maintenance, but it's going to put more on the companies too if we're not working and, offering those things to the clients. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get a response from National Seating. I'll follow up with another email, but it's been a little while since I even heard from them. So thank you.
Did you reach out to Ron? I'm assuming at a Newington office, Daryl?
Yeah, I reached out. I kind of let it go.
I don't let it go. I mean, I'm pinging Ron Sperry right now, who runs that. I want to know exactly what it is that you didn't get.
Yeah,
Don't let it go.
it probably got tossed out, but those are the things for us. It's like gold, because it could take burden off your back. We could do our own little repairs here and there. But yeah, definitely. So I could follow up another time. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to NSM.
Yep. Diane, if you want to go ahead with your report, so floor is all yours.
Sorry about that. I'm pinging the person that has Daryl speaking because I'm like, what the hell? Sorry. Just being very blunt here.
Thank you.
So the report on here, and you guys always know you can just ping me direct. I get enough from the committee members. They reach out directly. I don't have a problem with that. So when you look at the report, basically, let's just get down to the nitty gritty of it from mid-April to mid-May. We missed our compliance by 9.5. Basically, we met it in remotely, we met it in the branch. It's basically runs on a road that we didn't hit for those days. We are down 2 technicians that we lost that we're in a process of replacing. And we have a new person that's training. So it's kind of hindering our scheduling a little bit of that. I always like to kind of go in more detail with my other written report to summarize to the point, like Sheldon brought up, we had 329 repair orders. 9.5 of those orders that were missed were definitely our fault. That was either due to scheduling conflict, admin quotes, or parts that didn't bring out the right one or got delayed. We only had one didn't get responded back to within the 24-hour business from some voice calls. I would ask the committee, if you don't hear that and you have a personal experience like that, I would like to know personally to see, because we're vetting other QAs within our internal system for those things. We're spot checking voicemails, etc., of that nature. So, this is pulling from our actual phone system and actual reports when I see it uploaded in our manual tracking system. We go in and put orders in for parts, but like I reported beforehand, I'm still averaging 4.1 business days, meaning our techs will put the orders in for those parts immediately after they have the visit with you. But if I don't get the quotes back within 3 days for it to get going from the manufacturer, I don't know how, Gary, how you're doing, but I'm glad for you. You're getting it that fast. We're still averaging 4.1 days that we're getting total quotes back that time from the manufacturer for certain parts that we need to order for a repair. So they're putting it in, but I am not getting answers back within the 3-day window that we need to be compliant to get the part in and going and moving, right? So we put it in. So that's how I'm reporting it, because I need to know that the actual quote was received, accepted, and ordered and placed in that 3-day post window. So regardless of that, we're still meeting the 10-day timeline. It just needs a little bit more manually for scheduling, because we want to make sure the timeline's hitting on those. The majority of our repairs are in the home on that. And I also put in there how many in between stops that we're doing for adjustments or anything like that. That's not technically a repair. I like to keep track of those things for our benefit and your guys' benefit. And when it comes down to the staffing, like I said, for our one location, we got 2 on the road dedicated, 1's in training, so that's 3, and we're down 1 for the one branch location. And then for our Newington location, we have 7 road techs right now, 1 open position. So we're trying to maintain at all times 11, possibly 12 dedicated full-time employees on the road for repairs. And we have, 1 in shop at the one branch and 6 in shop technicians. That's warehouse, what Gary was sharing, other people that are not on the road dedicated 100% of the time towards repairs. Still in the process of looking, is always an ongoing issue with staffing, but we're getting up there. I just pulled my month to date, May month to date. As of this morning, we're at 93% compliance for the month of May. And like I said, we have other targets that we're doing. We did have two Massachusetts techs that were helping us out and branching over a little bit in Connecticut at times. We pulled that back because we got to focus on Massachusetts. So that's why we're also putting out in post to have up to 12 technicians now. So that's why you're going to see the staffing model like that, because we need to get a little bit higher to manage the admin for this program along with the actual repairs out in the field. So I want to pause there if you guys have any questions. And Daryl, if you could email me directly what those parts were, if you don't mind, I would appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah. I'll look back at the order.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, go ahead. David, I think your hand was up first. Thank you, Daryl.
This is a question for both you and Gary. So obviously life happens and sometimes people cancel their appointments even on the same day of their appointment. And that opens up opportunity for your techs to, maybe do other things. And I'm curious for both companies, what sort of, I guess, process or are you trying to recapture that time to maybe get your backlog down and call people up and say, hey, listen, I'm in the area. Can I stop by? And how often are you doing that?
Oh,
Just
we try to
curious.
do that. Yeah, we try to do that on a regular if we have a spot that opens on that and it works out for the calendar. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we can get a hold of the person that we're in the area for that would make sense because that's part of the extra admin people that we're doing. Because I think I shared with you guys last month, I had 3 technicians all on top of each other in one area because of how the scheduling was to meet that 10-day compliance. Sometimes that happens, right? We got people all on top of each other just because how it happens with the timing. But we do try to do that if we can, and play those catch ups where we can. It doesn't always work out. The one thing I don't know if it's still prevalent, and this thing was brought up to me the other week, and I don't know if it's happened or not because I don't live there, but is there still a strike going on for the nursing homes? Because we did have delays with our nursing home appointments because of the tentative strike. And I don't know if that is prevalent, it's still happening. I have no clue. I haven't seen any updates yet, but things like that will come up, but we try to, if we can, and if we have the part on the truck already for that person that needs that repair or whatever it may be, of course, we'll try to go do it. It's just a matter how successful is that. I don't have that numbers of how successful that is because I don't see how we track that always, but we do try to fill it in because we got to maximize the time that they're out there. I don't know, Gary, if you want to add to that. I'm sure you're pretty gosh darn similar.
We absolutely do. It's just a matter of, does the tech have to go back to the shop to get the parts, to do that appointment, and do they have the time to do it? I mean, it's a logistics issue, and certainly if we can get them to go do an evaluation, that's probably the easier thing, and they can take an evaluation rather than, trying to complete a repair that's going to take them longer because they have to get the parts.
Yeah, I mean, the evaluation probably makes more sense because you don't have to, have predetermined parts that are sitting in a shop, but it just came up recently, part of
Thank you.
a recent repair. So like the guy had extra time and it's like, oh, wow, it's too bad you couldn't help someone else out that needed it. So it just seemed like an idea that could be used to help other people,
Yeah, and to Gary's point too, David, it's got to make sure the time allotment. So if we had a book time of 45 minutes for a repair because we thought it was just going to be a battery and an armrest replacement, which is pretty fast and quick, that's great. But if that next person who doesn't have that same kind of repair setup time or whatever, to the point where Gary brought up, an evaluation might be better to try to squeeze in if we can, just because it doesn't always match up for that time frame. And if we do have the part on the truck.
Sure. Thank you.
Yep. Sheldon.
Hi, thanks, Diane. You're still totally underrepresenting how good a job you're doing. You're still saying it's inverted. It says 9 under the heading of compliance, you have 9.5%.
Oh, shit.
It's the other way. It's 90.
I'll correct it. I'll send it corrected. I did it backwards again.
It looks terrible.
My math in there, what it was, I meant to put 91.5. I just put 9.5.
Yeah.
Some one. I had a one
anyway.
in there. I had one.
Yeah, thanks. I did want to follow up on this question about the way you're reporting is on a staggered month, April 19th to May 16th.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to give it the week before the meeting, and so I'm pulling the 30 days prior to that. So that's why I wanted to make sure. And like I said, May right now, if I just do May 1st till today or yesterday's numbers, we're at 93.5%. So I'm trying to get the exact from the meeting before, because you guys are asking it for the week before. I'm just trying to give you the exact dates. But if you want just the previous month, and even though we got 2 weeks into the new, because we always seem to meet either the second or third week of the month, I'm more than glad to report it whatever way you guys want it.
I'm not the decider here, but that would be my recommendation is,
Sure.
Again, for the purpose of apples to apples as much as possible. Gary's reporting the first to the last of the month. So,
Yep, I'll do that. So when we get next month, then it'll just be all of May's numbers.
Okay, and unless people disagree, I mean, people should say if they, yeah. And then the last thing is about the staffing numbers. So again, trying to be apples and apples. 11 should be on the road.
Yep, and we're 2 down right now.
Okay, and 6 in the shop.
Yep.
And those are full-time?
Full-time employees. We don't have part-timers right now.
So that's 17 full-time.
No, but that don't
Gary, the question is to Diane. She can answer.
It's 11 people dedicated to the road is what our budgeted target time is for. And right now we're down 2 people. And
So
of
9.
those, right now there's 9 on the road. We lost 2 people.
Okay.
So we're budgeting for 11.
Right. But what I think most people are interested in is what really is on the ground. 9 full-time on the road, 6 full-time in the shop today, and 2 open positions.
Yep.
Okay. So that's 15 full-time. So we don't have to do the FTE as with new motion because you don't have part-timers, basically.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Never mind.
But Gary's got 8 people on the road. We have 9 right now. He has 8 doing repairs.
No, Gary said total. I believe Gary said he has total full-time 8 people, and then a tiny bit of a bunch of people adding up to 9.1 full-time equivalents for everything.
Of service equivalents.
Right.
Not people that only work part-time.
Right.
Okay. That you're right. That was wrong when I said that. I apologize. That was completely wrong.
Because
right. No, right. What we care about is not whether a person is a full-time person or part-time person. What we care about is FTEs. And you don't have these other people, a tiny portion of which is doing service. You have instead the 9 plus the 6, the 15 full-time people doing it, period. And Gary has 8 full-time people doing it, plus a bunch of other people adding up to another 1.1.
I think you're looking at it a little bit differently. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put and tell you exactly what those 6 people do in shop, because it doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day is who's on the road doing repairs. Right now we have 9, and we're budgeting for 11 because we lost 2 people. So we're in the process of hiring. So at the end of the day, let's talk about who's on the road doing repairs. That's what you guys care about. That's what's going to affect the timeline. Now, people in the shop can do a bunch of different things. Some of those people are doing repairs. If they come in, that's great. We don't dedicate it per se. Just like Gary has theirs. You have warehouse people bringing in inventory, and you have people that are building the chairs, right? So as the parts come in and grab it, and they're stocking it and put them in. At the end of the day, who's on the road doing repairs is 9 people right now. We're budgeted for 11 because we're down. We lost 2 people.
So you hope to have 11 soon, full-time on the road. As you say, that's the most important thing.
Yep.
And New Motion has
has 8 right now.
8. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we're 1 apart. That's it. We're only 1 different right now.
But we're completing almost the same amount of work, which is the critical number there. We're closing the same number of orders, pretty close. Okay. Now, I don't know what Diane's outstanding orders are. Ours has dropped down to the mid 300s. We were up close to 700 in outstanding orders at one point when we first started this process. Our outstanding orders are under 300 or close to 300, which means that our staffing is gaining on our outstanding orders. So we are more efficient. So I know what you're trying to get to, Sheldon. I'm gonna agree to disagree with you because we're getting to where we need to be.
We appreciate that. If you can get to where Diane is and stay there. That's
My
not
desire,
perfect, but
yeah, Sheldon, my goal is to get there. And just for a point, and Diane, I apologize for stepping over your
okay.
recording. No, just to be clear, our I to C, which is our number where we really measure our efficiency and service, it's intake to delivery. That's from the moment the time the order is created in our system to the time we complete it. The average number is 22 days right now. The median number is 22 days right now. It was as high as 40 days a year ago. Okay. So we are making progress. It may not be as quick as you would like to see it and not as quick as we want to see it, but we are making progress and we're going to get it down below that number in May. So I feel like we are doing the right things. We're going the right direction.
thank you.
Diane, I had a question. Well, first of all, you did see Rebecca's chat at the
Oh,
nursing
yeah.
home.
Good.
Yeah,
I just
okay.
remembered it because I know when I had my meeting with the team the week prior saying, yeah, we got told by 2 of our nursing homes because of a strike, they wanted to reschedule their appointment. So I was
Yeah.
I didn't, like I said, I didn't follow up in the news. If there's been any, but that's good. I'm glad I know they had it here
Right.
where I live and they resolved it pretty darn quick. So.
Yeah, that's good. My question is about your the inventory. Gary mentioned that he's building up his inventory. How much do you carry?
Exactly how
Do you
many
carry a lot of
SKUs
stock?
they've targeted. We did the same thing. We increased our min maxes and looking at what the most common repairs are right now, which we do anyways, because of the whole projects that this whole initiative is not just in Connecticut, it's across the board that we're all working on. So we increased our min maxes, which is how we keep things on the shelf, whatever it is that we typically are reviewing. And we have a whole, as part of this historicals that we've seen. So that's how we're doing it now and pulling the min maxes up. I mean, you're still going to have every once in a while a fluke or something like that, or tech looks at something, they thought it was one thing and they grabbed it wrong. I mean, those things aren't going to happen. Am I ever going to say they're going to resolve? No. I mean, and that's a far-fetched answer for that. I think we are looking at on a routine basis how fast we're going through them, and that determines how we adjust it. But I do know before this project started and everything, and as it's gone on, we've gone back, and that's part of our inventory management that we're doing is automatically increasing those min-max levels. And it's automatically reserved, once we scan everything, it's automatically reordered and shipped to the branches and that. So, but we can, if you want to see next time, I can always pull and see exactly what we're doing. But as long as we're meeting those numbers, I think at the end of the day, and we're not having too many of like what Daryl shared, I don't want to hear those type of stories, but if we can see what those are and what it is on the common, and making sure is it coordinated to the original order or is it something that we discover? Like I said, it's very common that we discover something else when we're doing all those checks, right? It's Cheristene's working, he didn't realize it was that, but that's the nature of the business.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Farah,
Okay,
I see
Farah?
you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, John. I just wanted to make a very quick comment to circle back briefly to a statement Gary made. This is not a contest about who has preferences about the rate at which we get to what point or who thinks who should be where when. I mean, first of all, I think we all know that people's lives and well-being are on the line here. We're all clear on that. But additionally, I mean, this is not my preference or Sheldon's preference versus yours. I mean, this is us all working together to try to come into compliance with a state law that has now been in place for a year. So I just wanted to make a note of that, that this is a thing where we are we are out of compliance, or in violation. People are being harmed by this, and the sort of like laissez-faire attitude around it, I think, is kind of what is irking people and giving that need to feel like to push back and keep hammering you on the details instead of sort of taking it seriously. It's not anyone's preference about the rate at which things are done. It's that there's a law that's in place that's being slowly complied with, maybe. And we're all here to work together to get there for the benefit of all of us, for the benefit of your business and for the benefit of our lives. So I just kind of wanted to address that quickly, not to shame anybody or pick on anybody, but to just sort of bring some clarity to that. So thank you for that moment. I appreciate it.
Fair, can I just respond, please?
Of
Because
course, please.
it's my apologies if I've come off as being laissez-faire. I've made a career out of, trying to do the best I can to help people with disabilities and be more mobile and independent. I'll stand by my resume. I am sorry if it's being perceived that we're being laissez-faire. We have invested a lot of time and money into getting better. And that's our goal. We are getting better. We are not getting better as fast as NSM, and we're trying to, compete with them and do better things. That's just the nature of the business. We're competitors. But I am apologizing if I've come off as not caring about this. I do very much, and some of the folks here who have dealt with me individually and can understand that I do everything I can to make things better. So I apologize for if that's how I've come off.
I deeply appreciate that, and I felt that we were all here for good reasons, and that a little bit of clarity around that would probably benefit everybody. So thank you for vocalizing it, Gary, and I'm glad that we could all have that moment. Thank you.
Yeah, look, in some ways I get a little defensive, and that's just me. I just because I feel like I'm doing my best. I take it personally sometimes when people come at me on some of this stuff, and I apologize. So
yeah, we're all here because we're passionate about this.
absolutely.
Well, I will say, just from my side, the one thing I've really appreciated about this council is your sincerity, both Gary and Diane's sincerity, and I do believe that you care about the issues, you care about wheelchair users, and it's heartened me to continue on to try to work together. So yeah, so I do, and I see the other, I see the other side, but I do want to acknowledge, yeah, I do believe that both of you care.
I think I speak for Diane when I say that, we can control certain things, okay? And we do our best. And, I run a division of New Motion where I've got 3,000 people, or excuse me, 1,500 people under me. So I can't watch what every single person does every single day. All I can do is make sure we have the right process in place and trust that we have the right people in place and do our best every day to, people make mistakes, and we're trying to performance improve to make sure we have the right people and the right process in place. So thank you.
Do we have anything else for Diane? Okay, Becky with OHA, I think you have some good news for us. So really excited to hear it.
I'm excited to share. So first I'll start with our cases. So we didn't meet last month. So together we have 4 cases from the months of April and May that were reported. And I just got notice that we just got another one today while we've been on this meeting. So that brings it up to 5. The three major issues that I've been seeing are the joysticks, the batteries, and the footrest placements. So those seem to be the concerns mostly. Number two is, or number three rather, OHA, I know I talked to you all about the website and how we're getting a new repair complaint form to fill out right there on the line. We do have an updated OHA website. That form is still not implemented yet, but it's in the works. And as soon as it is, I'll be more than happy to go through it with you and share it with you and let you know how to work through that process. And number four is I'm happy to state that speaking about communication, Daryl had mentioned something about how communication is key and how it's so important that we all communicate. And I'm happy to report that I've had very productive talks with both Diane and Gary over the last 2 weeks. And I'm really happy with the outcomes because one of the things that we were able to do was talk about the HIPAA releases that we had spoken about before. And I've gone back to OHA and we thought that it was the best way to get an OHA release from both NSM and New Motion. So it's their individual forms. So that way there'll be no issues. And when they complain, when the complainant comes in, if they have a New Motion client or if they're an NSM client, I can just have them fill out that release and I can communicate and help escalate that issue. So that's been really beneficial. We did have an instance where Gary stepped in and he got repairs done really, really fast for us. The turnaround was very quick and I was very impressed with that. And we also created escalation plans. And I know, Diane, you and I spoke yesterday, and I'm not sure, I know you're speaking to legal about your HIPAA release form. So that's I have Gary's already, I have New Motion's form in place. And
yeah, my compliance officer's on vacations this week, so I gotta go to his
okay.
his left-hand assistant and see if I can get a copy. I'll get it, don't worry.
In the works. So the other thing though that was so fascinating to me is that, you know, here I am trying to be an advocate too with the Office of OHA to help them navigate their complaints. And what I'm hearing from the consumers are really important. And also what I'm hearing from the providers are really important. And one of the things that I never realized is that I just thought a chair was a chair, and I'm kind of naive in this. And so I'm learning as I go. And so bear with me on that. But like Diane was explaining to me the other day that sometimes a chair can be three different types of a chair, right? It may not just be like one name part. It can have three different parts. So when someone calls and complains and say, I have X chair, they could also have Y parts from another provider, another type chair and all that. So they manufacture it in a different way. So we had some great discussions, and I think this escalation plan will be very beneficial. And I know their hearts are in this because I could hear it, and they were very willing to speak with me on this and to see how we could streamline everything together. So that's definitely something that was interesting. Something else that came up was that I found out and one of the other companies in Connecticut that's working on a chair's Journey, and I had never heard of them before. And so I realized there's other companies here in Connecticut as well. And one of my questions, I guess, and I know I'm new to this process and I'm new to the council, but I'm wondering where and how it was decided that how are we holding the other companies compliant to make sure that they're marking these 85, 90%, or, you know, how are we doing that to make sure they're meeting their marks? Is there any oversight for that? Or was there a decision based on the reasons why? I mean, because obviously we're working for all people in Connecticut, and I wasn't sure why that was decided or how. I was hoping somebody could help me understand that. But those are my numbers and information, and I'm happy to share any information or answer any questions.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I've never heard of Journey. Where are they out of?
I really don't know exactly. I just know that there's a person here in Connecticut who has 3 chairs from Journey, and people in this one particular facility. I think that they find them very useful, and I don't know if they create but they're a one-type shop. You have to go through Journey for everything. So.
I mean, I'm doing a quick Google search. I can't find anything. I don't know if the Gary or Dan know anything about Journey. I've never heard of them, and it sounds like maybe an internet company or something. Again, I'm not familiar with them.
I've not heard of them. I mean, the only other home healthcare pavilion is the only one. The other one I know. I think there's one other company in that does business.
Agawam.
Avalon, yeah.
Okay.
Joe. Joe, you could go ahead.
Yep, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of Journey. I do know there's like medical supply companies like Medline here in Southbury. They sell wheelchairs. It's not complex wheelchairs like I use. It's more of a floor model type of thing that's not as custom made, custom fit. They might do some minor repairs. It's nothing in comparison to these two companies, and it's just a local shop, and I believe that's the reason why they're not held to the same standards. They don't control the volume that NSM and New Motion have.
I guess my question was, wouldn't they still be covered under the law though? They still have that
Yes.
10-day compliance, right? Okay,
Correct.
so how do we track that?
Every
Or is that something that the council is not really, because we're just, I don't know, but I just thought about that and it just resonated with me.
they have such the reason I've as I understand is it's just that they have such a small market share, and we've never had, I mean, this is the first time we've had a report from another company. The way the statute set this council up was having one representative from um, the industry, and Diane was chosen as that representative. Gary is actually a guest, full-time guest on because asking Diane to speak for the other big company in Connecticut just didn't make sense. So and so that's why. And if we see a need to take action or to do something about the other companies, we can have that discussion. And if I'm wrong about any of this, anybody else feel free to jump in.
Well, I really feel positive now in my role at OHA when I'm getting in the complaints to know that we have this escalation scale that we can work up. I'm really excited about that. And like I said, everybody's been engaged and I'm very thankful. I've had a warm welcoming here and that people are willing to have a one-on-one conversation with me and have to try and find where the barriers are and see how we can really help each other, and facilitate success on all sides.
Yeah. Again, that's a big thank you to Diane and Gary again, work with Becky and coming up with a plan this is what we wanted to be doing, and I'm really, really glad to hear it. Daryl.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Becky, for sharing about the communication and what you heard there, as well as Diane for helping me with my personal matter there. In reference to the compliance, yes, you guys do have like the majority of the market, but I do think it's good to have these small mom and pop shops that are trying to build their program know of the law too as well. So I think that's why we were pushing earlier in our legislation to have that kind of notice, just like, hey, this is the wheelchair repair law. I do think it's going to scare away some of the smaller companies if they want to start up. That's my main thing. And like, I just know there is some historical some history that we've dealt with, and that's where we feel as though you guys do hold the majority of the market. But I don't want it to scare away the small companies. That's my only thing. But yeah, so I do think communication and just making sure that we're relaying that information could help just keep a little fire and let us know our rights as clients. So thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. I'm doing a time check. We still want to get to Mary's story, but Mary Ann's story. David, go ahead.
Piggybacking off Daryl, talking about the law and educating consumers. Did OHA and the two companies have any discussion about working together for the companies to educate people on the law and the rights and sending out information through their own companies? Was that a discussion?
So we at OHA, we definitely have notice up on our website. There is information about the law. We educate people on the law. As far as what's been proposed in the new legislation with the amendment, That's not into effect yet, but we did have communications, like if that were to happen, how we could work together, and draw those lines of communication together and come up with a plan. I know OHA is everywhere I go, I've gone and done outreach programs and things like that in the community. I'm always notifying people about this. A lot of people don't know about the Wheelchair Council. So even though I'm there talking about OHA, I give out the cards. I let everybody know. I'm like, do you know anybody in a wheelchair? Do you know about this new law? So, I mean, we're constantly, my team is very, very efficient on that. And I know Kathy Holt, who's now our new appointed healthcare advocate, she is so strongly behind this mission as well. So everybody in my team goes out and shares this, and we're doing a lot now on our website to educate people on different things, preventative issues and things and the like. But we're also out there in the community talking on the news now, and there's a lot more going on than to promote these issues.
And we have it within our internal materials that we have with our technicians now for repairs too, about the notifications around those.
Did Gary have a comment on that at all?
I'm sorry, we have not done any notification as of yet. But we are reviewing that internally.
Okay, I just figured since you met with OHA that it was maybe something you were working towards, and hopefully that can happen.
Happy, I think we're happy to work with Becky on that.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a very positive relationship that we formed. I felt very positive about that, David. So I think that if anything comes up, we can definitely talk it through and come up with some plans if needed.
Sounds great.
Thank you. So we just have a little time, but I don't want to have to ask Marianne a return. She wanted to share a story, and I think I'll read this. I'm reading the story for her. If anyone has questions regarding her story, then we'll take those first, and then anyone. I know Sheldon is going to want to comment on why we brought Marianne here, but if we could just take any clarifying questions first because of the time factor. Okay, so Marianne says that I'm going to be reading this paper for her. She says, thank you for allowing me to share my story about my new sit to stand power wheelchair. The problem is New Motion did not tell me the size and the depth of the wheelchair, that the size and the depth of the wheelchair were much different than my present power wheelchair. New Motion let me pick up my new sit to stand wheelchair since I had battery issues with the present chair. I tried out the new chair for a few days and I fell due to the significant depth change. As a matter of fact, I needed to call 911 and be picked up from the floor. New Motion came to my house for an appointment to teach me how to stand up with a new chair. Carrie from New Motion had to program the stand-up buttons, and after he left, the chair stopped working totally. And that Carrie is the seating tech. I emailed the seating tech to let him know that I needed to get a new wheelchair with the correct measurements. I need to return the chair to New Motion because I can't take the risk of continual falls. Why can I be independent in my old chair, but not my new one? Yesterday, I was finally able to speak to someone from New Motion about this issue. I've learned that I have to begin the entire process over again with authorization from my doctor. Why should I be penalized for a mistake New Motion made because they didn't tell me the size and the depth would be bigger? I hope New Motion and I can resolve this issue. I live a very productive life. I need a reliable power wheelchair that promotes my independence. Thank you, Marianne Langton.
Can I address that?
Yep.
Marianne, I will be more than happy to speak with you or your representative, and we can handle this offline. Yes, we can resolve this. We'll address it.
Sheldon, do you want to speak to this issue? Because it's kind of one of those issues that slip through the cracks because it's not quite a repair. And I don't know if you want to jump in, Sheldon.
The best way is to email me, and I will be more than happy to work with you.
The best way is to email Marianne and she will be happy to work with you.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
I have her email. I'll get it to you, Gary.
I do see that Carrie is scheduled to meet with you again, so I'll speak with him and then I will reach out to you. Okay.
While there are signatories,
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
there are signatories.
There are two.
Yeah. The first side would you take? Mine okay.
Okay. I will, let me, check with our team up there and I will get in touch with Marianne. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this the question I guess is when we have a new chair that has a repair issue, when do you count these as repairs? When does this like how it seems there seems to be a disconnect when people get new chairs. We've heard a couple of stories and Marianne's just came up. But it's still under the seating technician, but it's kind of a repair issue. So how does that work? And would you count this, would you see this as a repair issue or you see this as I mean, there's two issues going on. One is that the height isn't working for her. So that sounds like a seating issue. But the fact that the chair's not working sounds like a repair issue to me.
Yeah, I mean, just because of the age of the chair that's brand new, that, it would still stay with the ATP or the seating tech in our system.
Okay.
We should, the seating tech and the ATP should see it through till the customer being happy with the final product. Okay, that's what's supposed to happen. Look, these are complex chairs. They're, a lot of times, some of the things we run into, and, I was a former ATP. We work in the clinic with therapists and the doctors to make sure we get the right piece of equipment. Sometimes somebody misses something, door widths or whatever. Those are supposed to be addressed. If somebody missed that, seat depth and things, those are, pretty significant measurements. I'm surprised we missed that much on that, but I'm not going to get into I shouldn't get into the details. But to answer your initial question, it's about the ATP and the seating tech finishing the order and making sure the final fitting is correct.
And then you hand it over and it would be a repair.
Correct. Yes.
Moving forward. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Right. Does anyone else have anything quick on that? Okay. Well, thank you, Marianne, for sitting through our meeting and sharing your story with us. And I hope that this gets resolved. I'm going to turn this back over to John and Brienne for to schedule our next meeting.
Yeah, I think, well, the three of us will meet and figure that out. Obviously,
Okay.
with the end of session coming up, I don't think we can schedule it
Okay.
at the moment.
All right.
I defer to Brianne on that, but I think we'll meet sooner than later to figure that out. And
It will be easier to schedule.
Okay.
so there you
All
go.
right.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
Just,
we want easy.
Yeah, if I could, Maureen, because I know for us with Gary and I, please do not schedule if you can the week of the 23rd, because I will be on the road in DC every day that week. So it would be hard for me I can probably pop in between, but just heads up. If we're looking to schedule the week of the 23rd, I will have a hard time being able to be on the call.
Okay. Yeah.
We can respect that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually on the road that week as well. So
yeah, it would be great if we can avoid that one.
thank you.
Will do.
Okay.
And if we can't meet, we'll at least still give our reports by that timeline. And I will do it to Sheldon's request. I'll just do all of May for the next one.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Thanks, Diane. Second.
Jenny seconds.
Okay, I can't see. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. All right. Yep. Thank you so much, everyone, and we will see you in June.
Take care, guys.
Bye now.